Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Novice Chess. I'm going to try a 1510. Now, I don't think I've had many of these on my channel live. I think I did an analysis of one fairly recently. But I was thinking these were a little bit too long. Like, people didn't want to see, you know, the thinking that happened at this time control or that type of thing. So, I figured I'd just try it out and see what happens. Okay, so of course c4, that's my kind of move. c4, g3, this is the English. Okay, my opponent opting for an early d5. I'm going to go ahead and develop my bishop to the long diagonal and put my knight on c3. Now, what are White's ideas here? That's actually a good question. So this bishop e6, when I see this, my first reaction is how can I attack b7? Now, if queen b3, knight takes, is queen takes b7 appropriate? That's the question I have. Okay, then knight jumps here, and then recapture? It's hard to say. No, if knight goes to d7 after queen takes b7, then I can just take this rook. That's a little sketchy, but maybe it's the best way to go. Okay, queen b3. What else is happening? So queen b3, knight takes, queen takes b7. Knight d7, queen takes a8, queen takes a8, bishop takes a8. Then we have two knights, two bishops, and a rook versus two rooks, two bishops, and a knight. So I think I'm up the exchange. But down in development. Is that... Other options. Candidate moves knight f3. He just goes knight c6. Yeah, this seems interesting. Why don't we just try this here? And the reason I just calculate knight takes c3 is because right now this knight is hit 3 times, so it has to do something. I mean, if black plays some weird move like c6, then I just take b7 anyway. So that's why in my calculations I was just like, okay, well, after queen b3, just knight takes c3. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the line that I calculated seems pretty... I mean, obviously it's not forced, but it seems like the best way to go, I'd say. My opponent has to do something about this knight. So maybe he can retreat it to, say, b6, knight b6, and then I retreat my queen, but then this pawn is a little bit questionable. So then maybe you'd have to play something like c6, which it doesn't look correct. So let's see. Yes, this is interesting. So where else could this knight go? Interesting. So his idea is he wants to Well, obviously there's a discovery, but he's also threatening this this check here. Slightly uncomfortable. Um, so perhaps I should just retreat the queen, or does this check do anything? Not quite. Check, and then he just brings the knight out, right? Or even bishop back, and then if check and he brings the knight out, I can take. If knight takes, then I grab this pawn. If pawn takes, then I can just take. So let's see what he wants to do here. I'm gonna check, yeah, and then can't I just kick this, or like where's this knight going? I mean, knight to a6 just loses. So he has to go back to d5. Knight d5. Does takes make sense there, or knight d5 takes, bishop takes? I don't know about that. So maybe knight d5, knight f5. Then he'll have to go f6. Or wait a second. So taking? This is a little bit tricky because after knight d5, I'm wasting a lot of tempo with my queen, but I'm also threatening things. So, for example, knight d5, and then I just go queen b5. I'm just threatening to take the pawn. I'm also re-establishing this threat of taking the knight. So he's going to have to take the knight there. And then maybe we'll reach a similar position to when I first decided to go queen b3 and I looked at that calculation. So we'll see. I mean, knight d5 is like, wow. Wow. That's a pretty clever move, but don't I have this? Oh, this is scary. Well, this is 15 minutes. Let me think here. So I have a check. I can always take this with check, so I have to remember that. Take with check, knight takes, and then I just grab this pawn. This knight is pinned. But do I have something else? If I take... Yeah, if I take knight check, king d1, knight takes a1, bishop takes... No, queen takes c6. I'm hitting the rook. Bishop comes back to d7. I grab the rook with the queen. Queen grabs, bishop grabs. Where's his bishop? His bishop is here. I think I'm just up a pawn. So my bishop is here. Then he has to get his knight back. So he's probably going to go knight b3. After which his knight is on b3. After which I have what? Nothing great. Okay, so what about knight takes? Knight takes? Knight takes, he still has to move his knight, right? He just gives me a pawn for free, or... This is tricky. I could sack the exchange here. Take the knight. He grabs the queen. I grab the knight. He brings... Oh, he actually might go king e6. But then I can still grab this knight. Ooh, that looks dangerous. So I'm getting a knight. I'm getting this knight, and a rook. Two knights and a rook for a queen? Let me calculate this a little more. So, pawn takes, bishop takes. Let's just say king e7, bishop takes, queen takes, knight f3. Knight f3. Maybe something like g6. No, this is ridiculous. Let's just get the pawn here. There's no reason to do all this. He has to move the knight. I just get a pawn. There's no reason to get crazy. I actually think that, sacking the queen there may have not been that bad, but I just didn't want to have to deal with that. There's no reason to deal with that when I can just win a pawn here. So I think what black really needs to do is just move his bishop somewhere, and and well, actually has to move his knight. So knight back to d5, I guess, first. I mean, really, the problem with what I've been doing is, well, one, it's been taking a bunch of time, and two, well, it's been taking a bunch of time, literally, and also in terms of in terms of the game. So I've been wasting a lot of tempos. I moved the knight twice, moved the queen who knows how many times. Um, so right, so I moved the queen twice. Um, so yeah, meanwhile I'm not castled and that type of stuff. So right. Okay, so I don't like where my knight is right now. That's the thing. It seems slightly vulnerable. But I'd also like to finish developing here. Okay, I think I just want to complete development. No need to think about that too much. It's pretty obvious. I'd like my knight to get back to c3, given the current position. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and believe I'm going to castle. Right. Just trying to make sure I'm not falling into anything too bad. Okay, I think this is actually relatively okay. Keep in mind this knight is hanging, so Just assuming. Interesting. So my opponent has dropped a piece. Unless I'm in trouble. Big trouble. So I should just be winning now. Okay, so how do we make this happen here? So if I go knight b5, I'm running into bishop d7. That's not what I want. So perhaps just moving the knight. Something along the lines of that won't work because this is actually in the way. Okay. So queen e4, he has f5. That's not fun. I need a way to retreat the queen. My queen is a little bit too far into my enemy's position here. And I can't use a4. Well, the cool thing is, you know, if you know, bishop d5 or something like that, this is covered. If bishop d7, then I can just move to e4. So maybe it's not too big of a deal. This is... I still want to be very careful, though. Okay. So maybe just d3. And the point of d3 is actually to... well, I was thinking something along the lines of knight g5, maybe kick the bishop back, and then I can just retreat my my queen. So if the bishop retreats now, oh no, I don't quite have this check because the knight is still pretty active. Okay. So what's going on here? Well, now I have queen h5 ideas, so he probably has to address that immediately. Really? Very interesting. So if I do this, I have a few ideas. One of them being knight d5. Okay, maybe this isn't the right way to approach this. Wait, don't I have bishop f4 here? Bishop f4 followed by maybe it's safer to just retreat the knight. It's hard to say. The idea of bishop f4 is, you know, if he takes, then I just go bishop g6. But he doesn't have to take. And if bishop f4 and he plays something like, you know, queen e8, then I really have no justification. So can I just take this rook? Is that an idea, or... I mean, I'm up a piece. Why am I so worried about this? So, if I go queen g6, pawn takes, bishop f4, no, that's not going to quite work. So maybe there's no immediate mate here, so maybe retreating is just the most appropriate way to do this. Wait, can I go pawn takes? Can I go g takes f4? G takes f4, h takes g4, g5, pawn takes g5. I mean, what does he do after? Like, I'm threatening g6, so he's gonna have to respond to that. Um, how does he stop g6? Huh. Whew, this is this is kind of this is kind of crazy. Wait a second. Knight e4? Nah, bishop e8. I'm just gonna retreat the knight and call it a. I just want to use my piece advantage here. Maybe it's not the best, but for some reason I'm just not seeing anything immediate. I mean, obviously Black wants to keep pieces on the board, so he'll probably place something. He'll either attack my queen, or um, or move the bishop. So either bishop e7 or something like bishop e8, which looks kind of ridiculous, but maybe still playable. Yeah, I'm not seeing the immediate problem. I mean, and the immediate solution. Not seeing the immediate solution. So I'll just be up material and try and um wow. Wow. Okay, yeah, I guess he can do that. Um is this not a threat? Is bishop takes? Hmm. Bishop takes, pawn can't take. Bishop, yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure how my opponent plans to deal with that. But let's just play safe here. I mean, there's no reason to give counterplay. Bishop e8, I have queen g4. Or even queen h4. Really? I mean, I can just grab this rook. I mean, I'm sure grabbing the rook is probably fine. But why not grab the rook with less pieces on the board? Hmm. I'm sure I had something much better, but I just my calculation isn't that great. Very interesting that he's going for this. I mean, it almost seems like crazy. But yes, I have an extra piece. And... Now I can just take this bishop. I mean, I can just take this rook here. I don't know if it's the best. So take the rook, queen takes, bishop takes h6. If pawn takes, I have this check, which... I have to remember this queen is chopping this diagonal in half afterwards. That's the big problem. So maybe I can set it up this way. Where I can put my pieces so now when I take this pawn with the bishop, I don't think he'll be able to capture this. It'll be quite dangerous. Yes, don't I just have this though? Okay, so yes, this is actually a little bit more complicated than I would have liked, given the fact that I had won material so early. Were there any immediate improvements I could have made? Probably. Most likely. Yeah, I'm really not sure here. I think I played it fairly well, but I'll definitely have to look into this with a computer and see what happened. And also I'll try to put annotations on where I messed up into the video. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to give me feedback. Was this too much? Too much time? Would you rather see like 10-minute or that type of thing? Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Catch you guys next time. Alright, bye-bye. Hey guys, I wanted to play with the YouTube editor a little bit, and I wanted to analyze this game very quickly. I've already looked over it, so I have a few ideas regarding what happened in that last game, and I'm just going to add it on to the 1510 video. Okay, let's go through it here. And here at the bottom you can see kind of the assessment, and when it's negative that means black has somewhat of an advantage, and when it's positive white has an advantage. Okay, so Queen b3 is actually the move that, if we give it a little time to think, we can see that it's either the first or second choice. The second being knight f3, of course. So in the game, I believe I was debating on whether to go queen b3 or knight f3, so it's nice that I'm not completely crazy here. So I went queen b3. My opponent goes knight b4, which seems to be giving Fritz a little bit of time to think here. Yeah, it seems to be the best try. Queen a4, that's that. Without giving it much time to think, that's the first move it comes up with. Okay, this is all fine here. Still relatively equal. Okay, and now this becomes a problem. So in the game I took with the knight, but probably slightly better is queen takes. And the reason that is the case is because I'm hitting this knight. I was really worried about this check, so I took with the knight to cover my light squares here, but I forgot that after this check, so let's just actually look at this new variation. So I forgot that after this check king d1, this knight is, whoops, this knight is actually still hit twice. So, and it's pinned. So, this is still problematic for black. I just saw this, and I didn't realize that this was still hit twice. Okay, so back to the game. Knight takes, which was the second strongest move. Whoops. So knight takes, knight d5, and now knight f3. What was the computer suggestion here? Computer suggestion. The computer suggestion, right, was knight d4. Discovered attack on this undefended knight. Notice that now my knight and my queen are hitting this knight. So e takes d4, queen takes. And if queen blocks, then I can take the rook. If bishop blocks, then I just take this knight for free. So it's quite nice. But okay, back to the game. Opponent goes bc5. Castles. After this, of course, I'm winning. Now it's just a matter of technique. So, after my opponent goes bd6, the top two moves are d4 and d3. So I'm happy I found d3. D4 opens up the position a little more, but I think from a practical standpoint, I don't have a problem with this. I just want to get my pieces in somehow. Okay. So I totally missed this tactic. Knight takes e5, and just to show that new variation. Yeah, this is just crushing. Okay. Whoops, went back a little bit too far. Okay. So bd7, I'm still completely winning here. Queen h5 is the computer move. What should I have done here? Oh, right, the computer just wants to take this rook, but I really wasn't comfortable with that. I've had some bad experiences where I take this rook, and then the queen and the light square bishop get very strong in the light squares. So, objectively, it's probably okay, but I just didn't want to deal with that. I'm completely fine. Okay, this is all good. Takes, I just want to trade stuff down. This is fine. Yeah, bd5 check is actually the computer move, followed by bishop takes h6. And of course after r5 this was mate, but here's black's best try here. I'm just going to run through it quickly. Show you guys the moves here. And feel free to pause if you ever need more time to look at it. Then I just take here, and white is just completely winning, threatening to take this pawn. Rooks are getting into the action. It's a 2 versus 1 rook endgame. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will catch you guys next time. Thanks, bye-bye.